Don't get your wig split. Checking niggas off my hit list. From the trenches where the young boys are senseless. Yeah, did two in the cell. Fake friends scheming, but I stay true to myself. Keep playing. You gon' see what I'm about in a second. Getting to the bag while I'm counting my blessings. I'ma eat when that meal come. Double when the deal come. Still in these streets, even though I lost some real ones. Got it out the mud like a worm, nigga. Live and you learn, nigga. Trust to get you burned, nigga. Jake know how to blick. Ain't know where I put it. Put my heart.
This is Dawn Bryant here with James Pitt for our beginning segment of American Felon. We are trying to help end the stigma against the word felon and build something new. And today we're just going to talk to James Pitt a little bit and get to know him on a personal level. He's the creator of American Felon, but we're going to hear some of his backstory. And we're hoping to talk to more people that are felons and they're out doing well. That's what American Felon is about, bringing on board people that are positive, that are trying to do better and sharing their success stories and then helping them build wealth. But James, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, why not? I'm James Pitt. I recently just finished doing a 12-year sentence in the New York State Department of Corrections. Since my release in May, I have been working on building this brand called American Felon, which, as you mentioned earlier, is out to change the narrative on what it means to be a felon in America and around the world, pretty much. As you know, as a felon, you are pretty much a second-class citizen, probably a double minority, triple minority, whatever your race is, and a lot of doors are closed to you. So we're just trying to show the world that there are people out there that are doing great things with themselves despite the felony on their record, and the world needs to hear about it.
Can you tell us about you personally? Like, what was your upbringing like when you were little?
Well, I was born in Brooklyn and moved upstate New York, probably about an hour or so away from the city, the boroughs, to Spring Valley, Rockland County, New York. I have a twin sister named Yasmin and two older brothers, Malcolm and Jamal. I stayed with my father as a youth. My mother was heavily on drugs, so I was raised in a single parent household. At a young age, my father had gotten sick with dialysis, suffered kidney disease throughout my entire childhood, pretty much into my teens as well. So it was definitely a struggle and hard, a lot of hardship growing up, but we managed to keep a roof over our heads and keep food in our stomachs. So I'm grateful for Pops for all of that, for coming through with that.
Do you feel like your siblings helped raise you?
No, we're as I said, my twin Yasmin, we're twins. We're actual twins. She's a minute older than me, but my other brother Malcolm, he's a year older than us, but we were raised as triplets, pretty much. You feel me? So we were just it was just a close connection. So we were all helping raise each other.
That's cool. And then what were the circumstances that led to you getting locked up?
Well, as I mentioned, things were tight around the household. My father wasn't working. He was too sick. So he definitely was relying on the government for certain things. So we didn't have a lot to go around. We had to share clothes, me and my brother. So, just stuff like that, and going to school and, seeing everybody else having what we wanted or, just a part of, it changed our mindset to just want to try to get money any type of way. And the streets was the fastest way we could could think of, and so that's I jumped into the streets head first. At 14, that was the age I really started getting into trouble with the law, fighting more, and a year later, probably around 15 years old, I linked up with a local gang of the Bloods, and I joined up, and ever since then, I been in and out the system, juvenile. I did a year in the juvenile for assault on an individual, and I served time in the county jail. And like I said, mentioned the 12 years I just recently finished.
And what was that for? Like, what did you end up getting, if you don't mind saying? What did you end up getting convicted for?
My actual conviction, I had 2 convictions for this period of incarceration. The first conviction was for gun possession, which I received 10 years for. It wasn't trial. That was actually a plead out, pled guilty to that. They were trying to charge me with the subsequent charge. I eventually got charged with the robbery, kidnapping, but at the time they didn't have enough evidence, so they gave me the 10 years just to, satisfy their egos or whatnot. And 5 years into the sentence, going on 5 years into my sentence, I had a visit by some detectives from Spring Valley, and they interviewed me, questioned me about the robbery, and when I didn't give them no information, they went into my cell. They had obtained a search warrant from the judge, and they obtained my toothbrush and some other items, and they said there was a hit on the DNA after that, and they were able to charge me with the robbery, kidnapping, and I pled guilty to 14 years concurrent.
So the robbery, kidnapping was kind of legitimate, except for the kidnapping part, right?
Yeah, the kidnapping is the term, as I mentioned in the interview I did with Blood on the Razor Wire. Kidnapping in New York, it's a broad definition. There's many subdivisions of it. My subdivision, it was the victim was held in a place for a certain amount of time, and he wasn't able to leave. So he wasn't transported from his residence or the store in question that we robbed. He was left in the store, but since he was tied up and couldn't leave or escape, they considered that kidnapping.
Yeah, that one was like a reach. And then you got, why would you get 10 years on a gun? That seems so crazy. Was the gun stolen?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all guns in the streets are stolen, but like I mentioned, they said they wanted me for the robbery, kidnapping. The judge said it on record. It wasn't on record, so it's not on papers, but he said, everybody's saying you were involved in the kidnapping, yada, 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 so you're getting this time because of that. So that was pretty much it.
So they gave you like the maximum end because they suspected you were involved in the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it seems like the kidnapping, robbery, they could have given you more time, but they didn't.
They could have gave me, from what I was told from the lawyer, if he was to believe, he said they were trying for 18 to life for persistent violence. But I didn't see none of that in paperwork, so I'm not sure, but I don't see why he would have a reason to lie, you know? Mm-mm.
So was that a plea, the additional 4 years? Was that like a plea for the robbery?
Yeah, it was a plea to plead guilty. If I took it to trial, they said they were going to try to give me the max. But he said plead guilty, and I'm going to give you the 14 years concurrent. Because you're trying, actually, he had my records. The judge had my prison records. Even though I had disciplinary issues, but the educational, academic achievements, he saw that I was actually trying to get things together. So he ran it concurrent, even though he could have ran it consecutive.
At least he did something to try to But it's still so long. And then, so where did you end up being incarcerated?
Just all throughout the New York state. I was, my first facility I went to, well, that was reception. It was downstate correctional facility. I'm not sure. I think it's near Beacon, New York. It's closed now, but that's reception. And my first ever facility was Clinton Annex in Dannemora, New York.
And what was it like? Where did you spend the majority of your time, or did you keep getting moved?
The most I ever stayed in one facility, I want to say, is probably about just this last facility I was in was Governor. You know, I was out on my way out the door, so I probably was there 17 to 18 months. But I was always getting moved. Either I was going to the SHU, Special Housing Unit, or what people know as solitary confinement, or the box, or I was going to another. My classification got dropped, and I was getting transferred from a maximum to a medium security prison. But
so when you went to SHU, and you talk about what you feel like talking about, but when you went to SHU, what was like preempting that? How did you end up there?
There was multiple occasions I ended up on a SHU. I think I went to the SHU on probably about 5 occasions. The first occasion incident stemming Clinton Annex. I was there for about 9 months. One of my friends had actually pulled up. I'm from a small town, as I mentioned, Spring Valley, so there's not a lot of individuals you run into. Majority of people in the New York State prison system are from the boroughs, 5 boroughs, or one of the major cities, Buffalo, Rochester. So one of my friends had actually pulled up. So we ended up in the same dorm. My friend Tyrell Gunner, and we were hanging out in the bathroom smoking, and an individual, a white guy, older white guy, he walked by. I told this story on during my other interview, and he walked by and passed gas, and started laughing instead of apologizing. At the time, I was about 23. I was 23, so you know, I had a young mindset. Everything was pretty much disrespect, and he was already had a strike against him for being a sex offender, you know. So it was alleged, if I'm not mistaken, that he had molested his young niece or a nephew or something. I can't really remember actually, but yeah. So we had gotten into it over that, and next thing I know, I hit him, and he's on the floor, and both sides of his jaw are broken.
Dang.
Yeah.
You really hit him.
Yeah.
So that was the first time, and then there was more times.
Yeah, after they gave me, for that incident, I had received, I believe, 3 months in the SHU for that. Either 3 or 6 months in the SHU. And they sent me to upstate correctional facility in Malone, New York. Malone, New York.
And so, like, do you remember what that was like? Because I've heard from other people that it really has an impact on your mental health, like, right away.
Yeah, I mean, at the time when I was going to the SHU, nowadays the SHU is a lot more, I'm not going to say doable, because just being 24 hours locked in the cell, there's nothing normal about that, but it gotten more liberal, I want to say, as far as they allow you more time out your cell. They allow you the tablets so you can play games, make phone calls. But at the time I was going there, they didn't have any of that. You couldn't make any phone calls. It was straight. You had to use the mail to contact your family, and you only got 1 hour in your rec pen, and you had to have a bunkie unless you were classified directly from Albany to be single cell. So, you know, it's hard, to be honest, just living with another person in that close environment. You know, we're both miserable. we're dealing with a lot. That's a headache in itself. But then you got to think that there's pretty much no communication. You're just staring at the four walls all day. Like, you got nobody to talk to. You pretty much start talking to yourself until it becomes normal.
So you had a bunkie though, so you had like a roommate in the same like small area with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had several. In the first trip to the shoe, I had probably 3 bunkies. The first day I got into the shoe, I fought my bunkie because he was a rival gang member. He was a Crip. So me and him fought, and I got transferred to another cell. And the individual, we were getting along at first, but and prison is filled with a lot of individuals that need mental health treatment instead of prison time. So he was one of those individuals. He was thinking that there's cameras in the cell, that they're watching him, that they're talking about him, that they're placing mics, that he was just, going crazy. And then he was cursing people out on the gate, the other bros and stuff. You can't do stuff like that, especially now when you got a person who's affiliated in the cell with you. You're just randomly cursing dudes out. So me and him ended up getting into a fight, and I ended up extending my first shoe stay by another 3 months, I believe. So I had to do 6 months or 9. It was either 6 or 9. I got the papers. I just had to dig them out. It was so long ago, it's hard to really remember.
Even though it's, I'm sure, like brutal depending on who they put you in there with, do you think it's better to be incarcerated or to be in the shoe with another person?
No.
It's worse?
It's not, because first and foremost, the COs, they're supposed to do rounds every 30 minutes, but they don't do rounds every 30 minutes, not all the time. And even every 30 minutes, a lot can happen in 30 minutes. You get into a bunkie, the space is too small. You're going to be banging up against the metal desks, metal sinks. No, it's not. No, everybody should have their own cell, their own piece. Everybody can't live with each other. Some people just aren't, hygienic. They don't clean themselves. They don't, take care of their living space, and that creates problems. Especially if you're a clean person or OCD, that you're going to end up fighting, and there's weapons. You can easily get a weapon in there. People come in there with weapons on them. So, it's dangerous to be living in that space with another individual.
Like it's too close of confines.
Because you're 24/7 with them. No, it's not. It's going to be aggravation. There's going to be something that's going to tick you off about them that they do. And, if you're not grown and you about it, it can lead to some trouble.
Were you ever, what was the longest that you were ever in solitary?
I think 9 months, I believe. It was 9 months.
And was that with another person?
You mean in the cell with another person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know, like, how did that one go?
It was all right. Like I said, as long as you're grown, some individuals can't get along, but some individuals were grown, so we understand that there's going to be things that that we're not going to like about each other, but you have to be grown. This is not, we didn't choose this, we're forced to be in the cell together, so I was able to get along with the rest of my bunkies that I went to the shoe with, but the first 2 times, I had to have a growth period to actually, get my mind together and really try to start thinking for other individuals as well.
How did you, what preempted that? Do you think it was just growing up, or did you ever have a moment when you were in there that you feel like, kind of you clicked into a growth mode, or I
guess just with time, just being in that environment. Prison plays by different rules. We play by different rules in prison. So the things that we can get away with on the streets, you can't get away with in there. So you're forced to stand on your word. You say if you say I'm going to pay you on this day, you're expected that day. You know, so it's just a lot of maturity that comes with going to prison. You know, it really helps you become a man because you start to see other things and you start to learn from not only your experience but watching others and seeing how they succeed and how they also fail, you know, in certain situations. So it was just, you know, I guess it's just a natural progression.
It's like a crash course in like human dynamics, like whether you want it or not, you better like learn
you gotta get with the program.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take a break, but we will be back with James Pitt.
I'm the American Felon. I have 3 convictions under my belt and served nearly 15 years behind bars on charges of assault, robbery, kidnapping, gun possession, and even almost had a fraudulent murder charge pinned on me. I'm the American Felon, and since my release from prison in May, I got not 1, but 2 jobs, a highly publicized interview on YouTube, launched my own company, clothing line, and even got my own theme music. I'm the American Felon, and I'm waiting for you.
With James Pitt, this is the American Felon podcast, and we're talking to him personally today, talking about his experiences, what led up to him being an American felon, and then what he's doing now. So we kind of ended talking about solitary, and I just had one more question, which is, you were talking about how like your longest stint was 9 months and you had a bunkie pretty much the whole time, which is like, that must be a New York thing, because that's definitely not what they do in Virginia. But I was just wondering how you felt like that affected your mental health. Like, did you ever feel like you were going to go crazy, or did you feel like it was just really unpleasant?
I mean, to me, no, I didn't feel like I was going crazy. I'm really strong mentally, but it's just unpleasant, you know? It's just
like really
not
unpleasant.
Something I would want anybody to experience.
Right.
Yeah, the box is vicious, especially, you know, a lot of violence happened, and not just with the bunkies, inmate on inmate. The police, the COs actually get physical too, and there's incidents where they could beat you to death too. It happened.
Because it's like there's less oversight in that environment. Did you feel that way?
Absolutely.
Did you feel like you saw it affect other people that way, or you feel like it's just really unpleasant for most people?
I mean, everybody's different. It just depends on your mental and how well you can take pressure, to be honest. It's not for the weak. Some people just really can't deal with it, to be honest.
That's like, to me, the possible. I know you're saying, and I know what you're saying, because it's like, I've had that experience. I mean, not being confined in a space, but like being in too close of a space with somebody where you're like, okay, get off me. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe that could be the one benefit of being with somebody else, is that you're not just like completely alone with your own thoughts. Because I feel like a lot of times when people truly like lose it, it's because they have like not talked to anybody in days and days, and they just start like, you know.
I mean, that's true for certain people. I'm okay with solitude. I always been that way since I was young. I don't really need, you know, socialization frequently. You know, I need it. I'm human. Everybody needs it, but I'm okay with being alone. So I would, during my stay in the SHU, I prefer to be in a single cell. I'd rather be alone. I don't want to talk sometimes, you know, and then your bunkie start talking, joking, and no, I don't want to go. I ain't want to have to deal with all of that. You know, there's certain things that go on in the box that
you have really no control over. Get a talkative person, that person won't shut up. You talking all night. You get a person that like to get on the cell door and start screaming. It's just too much. It's too much going on in that environment.
I get what you're saying. I think that's probably like a personality thing, like, and or a mental strength. But I think for some people it would be like debilitating to be on their own, and then for some people maybe it would be better to be on their own. And then I was asking you about like what shifted your perspective. Did you read a lot, like when you were in there? Like, how did you spend your time?
Where incarcerated, or
yeah.
As far as I always read. I'm an avid reader. As you can see, I got a collection up there. I'm picking up. I always read. Definitely self-help. I love self-help. As far as authors, my favorite author would be Robert Greene. He wrote 48 Laws of Power, Art of Seduction, a bunch of things. And Rhonda Byrne, James Allen. I read hundreds of books in them 12-year period.
If you is there another book that you would recommend that's like not self-help? Like, did you read anything that was just like a story that you loved?
As far as fiction, fantasy. I'm really into anime.
Really?
I'm a nerd. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I like little Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, and all of that. But Game of Thrones. I read sci-fi. I was reading anything, urban books. Ashley and Jacques Cuevas, Wahida Clark. There's a bunch of good authors that you run across being in that setting. You got nothing but time to read. Nothing but time to read.
That's
so
like maybe the one positive
yeah.
you can read and you can think. And then, like, did you do any other things? Like, were you able to take classes? Did you take any? Was there anything else you could like participate in?
As far New York is I would give New York credit for being like it's a liberal state, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything within the prison system, because that's its own world. They don't even allow journalists to go into prison freely. But New York got they definitely have a lot of programs available, so that you can take advantage of. But they make the certain criterias just too hard. Like prison, there's no self-defense. A CO could see you get punched. You see you get sitting at the table and get punched from behind, and if you get up and try to defend yourself, you're still going to get a write-up. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, it's just certain things that they put for the criteria, the requirements to get into programs that prevents individuals from actually participating in them. But I was able to get into some programs. I took the correspondence programs at first through the mail through Blackstone Career Institute, located at out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. It was a paralegal program, so I earned several paralegal diplomas for paralegal studies, general law, business and corporate law, criminal law, civil litigation, etc.
That's cool. That's useful.
Yeah, it was definitely a great experience. I love learning new things. I also joined the college program while I was in one of the facilities, Washington Correctional Facility, business program for the our AAS and business management, entrepreneurship, and marketing. So I have a certificate in that. I'm 13 credits away from the actual degree.
Well, that's a lot. That's so many. That's good. Yeah. That's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
And then, like, was there anything else that you did, like, with your time that you felt like was significant? Did you have, like, a religious experience, or did you ever take, like, horticulture, like, just anything?
No, I mean, I did take the computer program in the trade. They make you, New York State mandates that every individual entering the system has to take a vocational trade and get their GED. Well, not get your GED, because there's individuals that go their whole entire incarceration without even obtaining it, but they'll make you join those programs. And So one of the programs I selected computer operations. So I got a vocational trade in that. They teach you how to use all the Windows applications, how to use desktop. It's a bunch of things. Even they teach you programming too, computer programs. So I definitely know how to use HTML, CSS. You know, I'm beginners, but I definitely know how to code.
That sounds like New York State is much better than Virginia as far as what they offer.
It has a lot of programs. They a lot of different facilities operate differently. Every facility operates differently, so they have different programs and different facilities, but they definitely have a lot to offer. I know one of the facilities, I believe, is Fishkill Correctional Facility, and there's plenty of others. There's a program, an organization that are able to come in there called the 5 Venture. Their entrepreneurship program. They go into they help felons actually start their own businesses too. They put them through a kind of Shark Tank style competition where you gotta draw up a business plan, come up with an idea, and pitch it, and they'll help you. They'll give you the funds to start your own business. So those are one of the programs that some of the facilities in New York allow. So there's definitely a lot to actually do if you want to better yourself. It's just meeting the requirements, and just to be honest, certain individuals just don't think that they can do it, or that they just, they don't care to better themselves in that way.
For it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've dealt with people, and this goes even as far as 10 or 20 years back, but they got out and they were flabbergasted by cell phones, or
I still don't know what I'm doing.
It's been 10 years since they've used a computer, and it's that is not cool, because it's I'm noticing that's a helpful thing with you, that you can get out and you can you have some transferable skills. It's not a total. It was almost like a culture shock to them getting out and just even trying to
I can imagine it was a culture shock to me. I grew up with technology. My father, even though he was sick during most of my youth and teenage years, he used to do side jobs working on his friends' computers, customers' computers and stuff. They'll bring it to the house and everything. He'll fix them, even build computers. So I was already technologically savvy, but it was still difficult coming home. It was, this phone is freaking ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I have to call my son, even have to call my sister. What am I doing? How do I even, snap this QR code? It's just a big change.
Right.
Is that the prison pretty much doesn't really prepare you for coming out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do they do an exit class?
No, they give you transitional services where they tell you about certain programs and tell you how to write up a resume, but there's no real up-to-date technology. There's no up-to-date technology for you to actually use to prepare you for what's coming.
I feel that would be so simple and so useful for them to do. Listen, if you're getting out in the next 6 months, or you have the potential to, here's a cell phone, you can try to use it. Here's a QR code, try to snap it, you'll see this. That's what they mean. They could make it so much easier.
Mm-hmm. It's a money thing, to be honest. The more programs, the more money they got to spend, and a lot of even with the college program, even though the college program is free and it doesn't cost taxpayer money in New York. The prison college program doesn't cost taxpayer money in New York. If I'm not mistaken, it comes from confiscated funds from illegal activities. So, so the funds that from white collar crimes, I'm guessing it was a Como era law. But even then, even with them knowing that their money's not going towards our education, they were still complaining. The COs were still, you're getting a free education, you're doing this, you're doing that. You should want to let us get a free education, because the more we learn, statistics has shown that the more
a person educates themselves while they're in prison, the less likely they are to recidivate. And so you should want to let everybody in the prison system, educate themselves, have an opportunity to learn, so that we can actually stop crime, prevent crime from reoccurring, than just continue doing what we've been doing, which apparently has not worked and will not work.
Right. So now that you're out here, how did you find a place to live?
I'm actually currently staying with a relative, a relative. So that was that lightened the transition, the reintegration up a big deal. Housing is definitely a major concern. It's one of the top concerns for a lot of individuals coming out of prison. A lot of them are homeless, so they can't go. It's not homeless by choice. Certain places won't allow you to parole to a certain residence, and that's the only choice you have. And now you got no place else to go but the shelter, and it's just a lot of work. So I was definitely fortunate to have a family to go to. So that definitely helped me get on my feet quicker than most.
Do you think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles for people coming out?
Yes, housing, and I actually think there's I wrote a list while I was in prison, really coming up with the idea for American Felon, to be honest, about key re-entry needs that I believe that need attention, and housing is actually one. Employment is a must. Individuals are coming home with no jobs. It's hard to get a job for them with the lack of skills that they do have. And when you don't, if you most of these individuals have kids. We got kids, teenage kids, and we got to try to provide for them, not only ourselves but for them too. And we can't find and maintain gainful employment. What do you expect individuals to do? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I understand, coming from this lifestyle, what do you expect them to do? There's only so much a person is actually gonna just say, okay, I'm gonna keep taking this. They're gonna revert back to what they know, which is the criminal lifestyle. So, employment is a definite must. Also, education. Individuals coming home with no job skills. Even though I said I took vocational trade and got my know how to program and whatnot, most of the skills are out to date. They're antiquated. There's individuals, we don't even use those. We need to step up into the millennial. Everything is revolving around technology. Individuals need to learn that. Also just community support too as well. The community needs to start accepting us and actually showing that our debt to society is paid, because that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Why am I going to do the time if you're going to still hold it against me? It makes no sense.
Right. When you were in prison, what was your support system like? Did you have a lot of communication with your family, or no?
In the beginning, it was challenging because the system at the time, I went in, I was in there in 2012 until this year. At the time, and during 2012, 2013 time, this is when the rates are extremely high. The phone rate, so it's probably $3 a minute or something. It's just a ridiculous amount that, even though certain people will pay it every now and then, it's not, you can't be consistent with that, and so in the beginning it was challenging. My sister, my father, even my godmother and them, they were having the phone on, but I would cut my phone time down and only use it every couple of days because it was so expensive.
Right. Yeah, it could be a whole other bill.
I have a good support system throughout my time. Like, my sister's my heart. That's my twin. My brother, Malcolm, he's actually locked up right now, and I think it's Rwanda's correctional facility. He's supposed to be out in a year or two. But yeah, I have a definitely great support system. So
what do you feel like was like the most important aspect of having a support system?
Can you repeat that?
What do you think was like the most important aspect? Like, do you think it was like just having someone in the outside, or like what helped you the most? What do you think would be important for other people?
I believe it's just the habit, knowing that somebody's actually in your corner. You know, we're in an environment. Yeah, you know, you got individuals you grow close with, you know, and that you're able to talk to about certain things, but it's different when it's an actual loved one from the street that's reaching out. It shows that you're not forgotten, that you're still here. Because a lot of times they keep saying out of sight, out of mind. No, it's really not. Sometimes you really forget people. You just forget a person exists while they're in the world, and it's sad. It's sad. So just having somebody in your corner, it could really make your day.
Right. What is your opinion on the justice system, the American justice system, having gone through all of this?
I think it's a complete failure. I think that I believe that individual, as humans, we don't spend our money on a product that has shown to be ineffective. You know,
what a great thought.
We're not going to spend our money on a product that's proven to be ineffective. So why are we continue allowing the government to waste our taxpayer dollars on this system? We know that there's a better way, and we give the individuals the complete resources that they need. We can actually stop what's happening and really change it. But crime is $1 trillion industry,
right?
You know, so that's not going to happen. They're not going to allow that to happen. We're bodies. This is modern day slavery. They're making money off of us, and that's how they're going to keep trying to have it until the system is broken.
Well, you know, it's like I was telling you, I got kicked off TikTok for saying, so I won't repeat it exactly the same way, but it's like we're really waiting for like a certain sector of people to be done off, to retire themselves. And then I feel like there's the potential for change. It's like, I think certain people are holding up change intentionally because they're making money off of keeping things the same way. But I feel like, as hopeless as it seems, it's also not. If you take that into account, some of those people are eventually not going to be. And then it's like, I feel like all the American people need to unite and let them know, like, we're not okay with this. We're not okay with things continuing on like this way.
And it takes a united voice, and this is exactly why American Felon is actually a more in-your-face type of company. We're not ashamed of our past. You know, we're focused on the comeback. We're focused on the success. The media continues to portray us in a false light, you know, a negative light. Oh, they only want to focus on the bad apples, but there's if only 33%, I believe, is the number recidivate in the first year, and the number goes up to 60% in 3 years. And what happened to the other 40%? What are they doing with themselves? Obviously, they're doing great, but we barely hear stories about them. We might catch a glimpse every now and then, but they don't really want us to know about those stories. They keep them hidden so that we can continue thinking that there's no hope. We're felons, that there's nothing we can do. We're just destined to live this mediocre life, a double minority life, second-class citizen life. No, we're going to unite, American Felon. We're going to stand on the front lines. We're going to raise our voices, and we're going to be heard.
That's one thing that people like to joke about social media a lot, and it has its downsides, but it's also like TikTok has shown me personally, it's a tool, and it's actually a tool that gets around a lot of the intentional suppression of certain things. It's like they can't hide it. That's why they don't like it. That's one reason anyway. And I feel like even if they get rid of TikTok, they will, like, we'll have an American version of it because people are done with the media just suppressing so much of what they want other people to hear. It gives, like, people another avenue where they can be like, wait a minute. So how did you come up with the idea for American Felon?
To be honest, like I said, I was just coming up, like, just during that 12-year period, I ran into a lot of individuals and that I seen leave, I seen a lot of individuals go home in 12 years. And I seen a lot of them come back. So it's like, what's going on? Like, I know we were chopping it up. You had all of these plans. What's really happening that you couldn't stick to it? And I'm trying to think of ways to, like, help individuals. Like, what's the main issue? Like, we have to tackle the root causes of what actually leads to reincarceration. And that was one of the factors. And another factor was I was with an individual, a white guy. I forgot where he was from. His name was Red, I remember. And his father slept a couple beds away from him. Like, that was like, I'm looking like, I would probably beat the shit out of my son if he was sleeping a couple beds down from me in the same prison. Like, what are you doing? Like, no. Everything I've done, everything I continue to do, I do it, and I did so he doesn't have to go through the same thing, So that was one of the main reasons why I'm like, okay, American Felon, we can actually start finding a way to change the narrative and find success by gathering stories and helping individuals know that this is possible. Like, you don't have to go back to what you know. This is possible. And that's pretty much where it came from. Just trying to figure out a way to get back to the community that I help, harm.
That's so interesting. And I feel like it's such a groundbreaking idea because it's like people are just so used to thinking of it as a negative label. And it's like you're taking it and turning it on its head. And that's what I love. It's like a positive way to reframe your experience that you've been through, which, you can argue that there's, like, sociological reasons too why you went through that experience, but you've been through it, but you're going to take it and use it to help people build something anyway, and to help other people build something. And that's, like, what I love about the idea of American Felon. Like, can you explain to us what is American Felon? What is it right now? What do you want it to be?
Well, to many people, American Felon could be a bunch of things. It could be a lifestyle, just a way to live your life, like the way you want to, without having to look over your shoulder. I work 2 jobs, morning, night, and I run American Felon, and I'm on Facebook, socializing on there, engaging with other individuals, trying to build a brand. I'm working all day, and I'm grinding. This is the same thing another individual could do. American Felon is also a company. It's foremost a for-profit company. Our main goal is to eventually help felons create their own businesses so they in turn can give jobs to felons, and it could keep the cycle going, which will really address the situation of massive generational incarceration, because our youth look up to the individuals in prison, and as they see them doing good, it might could change they thinking pattern. Like, okay, I can do this too. This is a new way of doing it. I don't have to go to the streets. I don't have to sell drugs. I don't have to pick up the gun. Because our entire lives we've been lied to, thinking that there's something glamorous about this lifestyle. There's nothing glamorous. I didn't like it then. I'm damn sure not gonna like it now, especially I'm living a different type of lifestyle. I don't, the guns flying, bullets flying, running from police, the fights. That's not something that is normal. I can honestly
see a person get shot or stabbed, they're cut or whatever, and not blink an eye, like, damn, that was crazy. You know, that's not normal thinking. I'm supposed to be, frightened at the sight of that. But
from the trenches where the young boys are senseless. Yeah, did 2 in a cell, fake friends scheming, but I stay true to myself, keep playing. You gonna see.
This is Olivia Bryant Bailey, and I am back with James Pitt, and we are just discussing his concept for American Felon. You told us about how you came up with the idea, but can you explain to us what American Felon is as a company and what it can be?
American Felon, depending on who you are, American Felon can be multiple things. It's most certainly a lifestyle to show individuals that through hard work, they can actually succeed and live, I'm not going to say the life of luxury that they want, because like it's a capitalistic country, but just that they can, don't have to worry about looking over their shoulders for police or anything else while they're actually earning their living. American Felon is also a company, for-profit company, we're in the process of now of introducing our clothing line, the American Felon clothing line. It should be made and ready by next month, so definitely be on the lookout for that. We're also looking into starting a publishing company and prison vendor. A lot of individuals, while they're incarcerated, they write books, but they don't have anywhere to actually get them published. So we're definitely trying to be one of those outlets for them. And the vendor, like I mentioned, the vendors now that a lot of the prison systems use have exorbitant prices. They try to break your pocket. So we're going to try to introduce products that are definitely affordable, so that families can definitely get their loved ones the necessary food and other items that they need to make their incarceration a lot smoother than it already is. Than it is. And also, American Felon is also branching off into the nonprofit. We're trying to figure out a way to go into the prison systems and speak to the individuals in there, and also find things we can just do around the community to help out. That's pretty much what American Felon is. Just bringing felons into the forefront in a positive light. That's what we're mainly trying to do.
Right. And then you want to be able to help people create their own businesses, and then like either as part of American Felon or maybe on their own, and we can help support them and hype, so you can pick who you're buying from.
Yeah, it's right? Pretty much. We'll have an investment wing where we can help felons start their own businesses so that they can in turn hire felons, so we can reduce the recidivism rate lower than it already is, and keep individuals on a positive track. Reintegration is not easy, and employment is definitely one of the areas that needs special attention. So that's what our main focus focuses on. So once we introduce the clothing line and the other products, we're going to start with the clothing line first. We're going to donate. We're not donating, but we're going to set aside at least 25 to 30% of our yearly profits into the startup fund for to help felons launch their own businesses. Some of them probably will be under the American Felon brand, but others will probably stand alone. But we'll just have our investment into them. But yeah, those are some of the things we're looking into, as well as prison consultation and appeal action. So, we're working on a lot of things at this moment, but it's a slow process. It's going to take time, but we're on the right track. So I'm definitely proud of what the team is doing.
And I feel like as more people come on board, it's going to be also easier to like see where you can plug people in to different, see where people's strengths are and where they can help and how they can, you know, like there's something for everyone. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm super excited, and thank you for sharing your story. And yeah, I'm excited to see where American Felon is going, and I hope that you all will join us on Facebook and TikTok. And do you have American Felon anywhere else?
Yes, you already know YouTube, as well as Instagram. Please follow us, American Felon TV. We are definitely going to be posting content weekly, daily. So just stay tuned in, and you'll definitely enjoy it. I promise.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this whole chat, and I look forward to talking to you soon. And you all, anybody watching this, follow our podcast because we have some great guests lined up.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
MK.
Don't get your wig split. Checking niggas off my hit list. From the trenches where the young boys are senseless. Yeah, did two in the cell. Fake friends scheming, but I stay true to myself. Keep playing. You gon' see what I'm about in a second. Getting to the bag where I'm counting my blessings. I'ma eat when that meal come. Double when the deal come. Still in these streets, even though I lost some real ones. Got it out the mud like a worm, nigga. Live and you learn, nigga. Trust to get you burned, nigga. Jake know how to blick, ain't know where I put it.